What's up, friends? Kris Krohn here. Guess what? If you're in your 20s, there are 5 big choices that you need to be super concerned with. And if you're not thinking about all 5 of these, you might be missing out. Here it comes.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about college, career, investments, travel, dating. 5 things that I think are paramount for you to establish yourself well and make super good choices while in your 20s. Let's actually start with the first one. On a pretty regular basis, I get hit up. The world is changing so rapidly and people want to know, Kris, should I go to college? Where does college fit in my future and in my life? I'm going to share personal feelings on this, and ultimately you need to decide how you feel. Personally, I'm raising my children with entrepreneurship as their core background. I don't think we live anymore in a time when you can just rely on a college degree to get you where you want to go. The world is changing so rapidly that even what we're teaching today, it's becoming obsolete so fast that, listen, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be an attorney, go to college. But if college is a social experiment because you don't know what you want to do with your life, you may want to rethink the matter and first ask yourself, do I actually want to be in charge of my own financial destiny and be an entrepreneur? I think that's a really important choice for you to make. It's that college is no longer producing the results that we hoped that it would or that it was for previous generations. You need to decide what you want. Does it require a college degree? Go to college. If it doesn't and you're not sure, what can you do to try on a couple other things first so that you don't waste your time or waste your money? Make no mistake about it, this channel has been all about helping people become financially free. But there's actually 2 other freedoms that you got to be concerned with when you're picking a career. The first one is time freedom, and the second one is choice freedom. Let me explain those for just a little bit here. On a person's journey, whether you just want to be financially stable and secure, or whether you're saying, hey, Kris, I would love to make $10,000 or $20,000 a month residually so I can quit my job and do what I want with my life. Whether you're either of those, how that's going to happen anyway, and what you're going to want and seek is time freedom. I got a buddy of mine who sells in the car industry. He makes bank, but guess what? He has to give 70 to 80 hours every week. He hardly sees his wife and kids. And bottom line is, it totally stretches him, and he doesn't like that. So he makes good money, but there's a sacrifice. How important is a good lifestyle to you? And if you're talking about career, ultimately where I believe entrepreneurship, in fact, I think by the year 2030, 70% of all Americans are going to have some type of side gig, I think is what's projected. In other words, entrepreneurship is on the rise because people are committed to a lifestyle that they can control. Ask yourself if that appeals to you, because entrepreneurship is not an easy journey. There's a lot to learn about yourself. There's a lot to learn about what does and doesn't work. And you're going to fail likely a lot of times on your path to success. So when you're picking a career, what career can you pick that can allow you to have a side gig for making money on the side or trying a business on the side? Is there something that gives you time flexibility is the first consideration. And then the second consideration is, do I have choice freedom? Meaning, am I giving myself permission to make the choices that I want in my life? Or have I picked a career that is super inhibitive and limiting of what it is that I can actually do and how I can choose to use my life? Do I have the flexibility that if I want to go fly to the other side of the country or attend one of Kris's events so I can learn and get mentorship, do I have the ability to do that? I think that's really important. Right along with that career, I want to throw in one more piece of advice for you. Figure out how to save money. That leads us into number 3, investing. Life will never cost less than when you're in your 20s. So you're either going to choose to live paycheck to paycheck like everybody else does, which means if you make $40,000 a year, you're going to spend $40,000 a year. If you make $80,000 a year, you're going to spend $80,000 a year. But what you need to do in your 20s, you should be saving no less than 20% of your income, and preferably more like half of it. Think about it. You don't maybe have family yet, other obligations. Life only gets more expensive with time. So the time to establish your investments, trust me, anyone doing it in their 40s wishes they could go back to their 20s and say, how can I time machine back and do it right? And doing it right means focus on saving. Don't be materialistic. Don't focus on having all of the nicer things of life or living at the capacity of your income. Instead, freedom comes from creating a massive gap between how much money you make and how much you spend, and take the rest of that money and dump it into investments, whether that's doing things like real estate where you can double your money every 5 years the way I teach it, or whether you want to go invest in the stock market or your own business or something else. Bottom line is, the younger you are when you start investing, the more you're going to have later in life. So it really comes down to a habit. And play a game. How little can I live on to have as much left over so I can put it in as many different investments as possible? That's the third thing you need to do in your 20s. Okay, number 4, travel. You're gonna have probably more flexibility in your 20s than ever before. I totally recommend putting as much money towards investing as possible. I think it's important to have a little bit of fun as well. And travel gives you perspective. It allows you to see the world. It gets you kind of outside your comfort zone. And I think that there's a lot of good and fun that can come by it. In your 20s, I think travel, make it an important priority. You've got the ability to literally travel with hostels, meaning go into places where you can rent the really cheap units and you can backpack through Europe. There's a number of things you can do that don't necessarily cost a lot of money, because trust me, later, married or established a relationship or kids, it only gets more expensive. Hence, invest now and also take the opportunity to go out there and explore the world a little bit. And my last piece of advice really comes down to dating, relationships. You know, right now the world is tending to move in a way where it's all about independence and being a free spirit, not getting into too committed of a relationship. I got married when I was really young. I was 23 years old. And I have to tell you that being married young now means I'm still in my 30s, and now after 17 years of marriage, my wife and I have been to 40 countries. We've had a chance to build wealth together. We've got 4 kids, and I feel like I've already lived such a packed life. You know, I think there's 2 types of daters out there. I think there's playas, and then there's the people that are really committed about really finding real love and real companionship that's super meaningful. And I want you to understand something. Every relationship that starts off well is going to go through a really nasty, bumpy road. And that's when people get out. And my wife and I went through that same thing. But what we did is we hung in there during the hardest moments and we learned lessons. And when we got to the other side, there wasn't anything we couldn't face. I feel so lucky that I've collected all these amazing memories with my wife, Colleen. And it's because we were committed to working through the difficulties. And I think there's a lot of people that just say, hey, when it gets hard, I get out. But then you start over and then you go through the slumps and the emotional roller coaster, or sometimes losing a lot of money if it's a divorce, and then you have to start all over again. And so I would say, instead of being a player who's just out there to get a little bit of action on the side, consider the beauty of finding that lifelong companion, that person that you want to spend your life with. Your 20s is an excellent time to get a little bit more serious about the dating game. And then when you get in a serious relationship, look at how you're going to weather the challenging moments, because I think every relationship is going to happen. I mean, we're attracted to our most opposite. And it's never going to be any different, because that's actually the healthiest person that makes up all the things that you don't actually have in your life. The question is, what can you do to actually learn to get through it and get to the other side successfully? Because if you can figure out how to get through those hurdles and problems, your love and relationship is going to grow so much stronger. And then you're going to have someone that you can really share and build a life with, and all these incredible memories. I know that family for me and my children, my wife, have brought me some of the greatest joy in my life. And I'm so grateful that I have had the time that I've had. So decide who you want to be in the dating arena. Listen, friend, today's advice has all been dedicated to helping you find fulfillment and joy, which is something that we're all after. And your 20s is the perfect time to really get yourself set up. For those of you that are looking at this saying, okay, Kris, good advice, thank you. How do I get started with the money side of the game that's going to affect a lot of these things? Today, I'm giving you a free copy of my book, The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. It's a gift from me to you. Cover the shipping, and I'm going to send the book out to you. And the book really details how I, in my early 20s, built over $1.6 million of wealth that allowed me to quit my job, have $12,000 a month of residual income, and it led to tons of travel, the investing that paid for my lifestyle, basically the career of my choice, if we can call it that, the love of my life. It really touched every part of my life when college really, even getting my degree, didn't set me up for what I really wanted in life. And so that book is a gift from me to you to help you figure out your journey of wealth. And even a member of my team will reach out to you after you get the book to see if we can help you put a game plan together on how to make the most of your 20s, or for those of you watching this in your 30s and 40s, what can you do today to set the record straight? Thank you guys so much for watching. The link is in the description below. And please make sure that you are a subscriber and watch tomorrow's video. I make them every single day, dedicated to helping you have it all.